Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is part 2 of my October pickups vid for end of the month here. I'm going to show you guys the Odyssey 2 system, and basically what I ended up doing was taking the one that I got from this old bastard, hence I messed with it and messed with it. I did the AV mod on it and then messed with some more, and I deemed the system foobar. But compared to my other two systems, the outer shell and keyboard and stuff looked a lot better. So now I got a system that looks pretty damn nice. And on doing that, now that I've taken apart that one, the main differences was my two that have the joysticks basically built into it, which on that you got to open up the system to unplug them from the board. Those ones, the motherboard is just bare bones, man. You open it up, there it is. There's no shielding or anything whatsoever, and those are very easy to modify. I mean, as soon as you open it up, you can see what you're doing and then solder in your wires and put in your AV jacks or cord or whatever. This one that I got from the dude, for anybody that didn't watch my last vid, and I recommend doing that so you know what I paid and everything and the situation I had to go through to get it. A broken system from this idiot. Anyways, it's got the joysticks that you can unplug. They look like an Atari type plug, but you cannot use Atari joysticks on one of these systems unless you modify it. Or if you're lucky, I found out that Wicco made a little thing you can plug into the system that switches the wires around so you can use Wicco joysticks and other Atari type. It has that, and then I don't know why they did it, because when I was looking it up, trying to find out how to do stuff on it and what might be wrong, they all have the same power supply as my other two systems, and that's one of the things that was missing on this, was the power supply. But the type it uses is like for an Atari 2600. It's got that damn headphone style jack. And because the back of it's all inset, my old school one that I have, that's one of the cross jacks where it's got them pointing in all directions, because of that, I can't get it to fit in there unless I open the damn thing up. So I was trying everything. And the furthest I got was after I did the AV mod. I could tell that it was getting power because the screen on the television would flicker, and I tried it on this one that I'm going to show you guys here that I picked up, and then I tried it on one of my LCD screens, and all it would do is just flicker a gray screen, no picture to show that it's got a game in it, nothing, just pretty much blank, and then no sound. Which these, as soon as you turn them on, it makes a sound, so that tells you it's working. So I deem it foobar. It's also, when I looked it over, the only thing I can think of is there's a bad chip in it. All the capacitors, circuits, everything looked good, nothing looked fried, so it's got to be that one of the chips got zapped by static or whatever. But the shell of the system really looked pretty damn good for something from the late 70s, which on the Odyssey 2, I think it came out a year after Atari in 78. They were one of their competitors. So, swapped all the parts to make myself one good system and then one that's so-so, that are both modded. And on doing that, the thing to watch out for is that ribbon cable that goes from the key membrane pad up here, whatever you want to call it, and then plugs into the motherboard. You can remove it from that plug, which basically the cable itself sticks into it, but man, that stuff is just thin plastic, and you're talking about something that's old, so you just got to be really careful on just gradually easing it out of that socket. If you do it too fast, I guarantee you're either going to put a crack in it, which will destroy your system, or even worse, tear it or whatever. And then once you remove it, found pencil eraser works really well. Just go over the little contacts that went into the socket with a pencil eraser until they're nice and clean. And then I recommend getting like some CRC contact cleaner and spraying the inside of the socket. So once you put it back together, hence the same way you took it apart, real slow until it's in there right. That'll just save you from having to take it apart again. It's one of those things, the more you mess with it, you're guaranteed to break it or something worse. Which I'm pretty sure this is just a big membrane under this keypad, and that cable just hangs off of it. I don't think there's any other kind of plug under this top piece. So once you tear it, you're screwed unless you have another top piece. So before I show you the system and my other new goodie here, show you what games I got. And they're all in great shape. Only got one loose one, and I'm almost wondering if this was a pack-in game. This is their Pac-Man clone, Casey Munchkin. Good game. And got this too that I thought was cool. Odyssey 2, the keyboard is the key to over 50 games. Like 50 games was a big deal back in the day. But just a little catalog showing the games that are already released or upcoming, and talking about the, I think it talks about the voice in here. Maybe it doesn't. Let's see. Okay, it does show the voice, which is the module that plugs in the top of it and makes it to where you can play voice-enhanced games. Otherwise, pretty cool. In fact, see what this is dated. Find a date. Okay, no date. I'm pretty sure this came out in '78. Well, that's cool. Well, got 6 boxed games here. This is one of the voice enhanced ones, and even without the voice thing, man, looking at the back of the box, it looks kind of abysmal on the graphics, but this is a pretty damn fun game, man. It's definitely challenging, it's fast-paced, so definitely worth picking up. This is Attack of the Time Lord. And like some of the other collectors of Odyssey 2 have said, man, on the boxes, the box art is just awesome on these. Just screams freaking 70s. And another good game, Freedom Fighters. And this is their Space Invaders clone, Alien Invaders Plus. Another good game, UFO. This one, I tried it, and it's kind of weird. You gotta kind of figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do. So you guide an army of robots, and you gotta attack the other ones, and you got trees and stuff in the way, so it's kind of a strategy type. War Nerves. And then last one. This is one of the multi-carts. Speedway, Spin Out, and Cryptologic. Speedway and Spin Out, obviously racing, and then Cryptologic. It's one where you scramble a word, and then when your friend unscrambles ass shit or whatever, wins a point, and then it just goes back and forth. That's pretty much it, which could get boring really freaking fast unless you can come up with some really unique swear words, like hamster fucker or whatever, man. So, I'm going to get everything turned on here first and pop in a cart. There's another thing I found a while back. I just didn't have room to set it in here to show you guys. I found a vintage monitor, and it still works beautifully. It just doesn't really look too beautiful. Anyways, gotta say, if anything, it made one of my other systems much nicer looking. Really, it's just got a little bit here where the silver paint's coming off, and just a few little spots elsewhere, but nothing like my other two. The one that the board was originally in, man, this was all scuffed up and just marred up all over on the paint. It had really been abused, but it was working. So this is the monitor that I snagged. This is one for the Commodore computer, 64, 128, VIC-20, whatever. And it's a model 1701. And it's the cam that's making the damn screen here look like it's black and white. It is in color, and it looks really good. This is a damn good monitor, and I heard that these are JVC monitors, to where they just partnered up with Commodore. So, start the game here. And speaking of the AV mod, you're much better working with something like this or just an old school tube TV. You can really crank up the color and contrast and brightness and make it look like it should. If I hook this up to one of my flat screens, the one in here, or my RCA one out in the living room, the color's just dull on it. It's still doable, but you're not going to get this insanely bright color. So, as you can see, man, I die real easy. Mind my awesome playing skills. This is a bitch to play with one finger and then holding a microphone in the other hand. Oh, chased him just as long for him to kill me again. Okay, little fuckers. So, that's that. Put this back. Got something else to show you guys. And, once again, before I show you, I'll tell you what was up on this deal, because I found myself, hopefully, a kick-ass connection for getting a lot more retro systems and retro computers in my collection, man. This is one of those situations to where these people bought a warehouse from a church to where said, we'll give you a good deal. It's just, we don't have the people to clean this out, so you guys got to clean it out. And basically, they were using this building for all of their donations, which was just everything you could think of, from electronics to just oddball stuff. And all the electronics, this girl just made me light up all over. It's like, damn, man, can you let me just climb around on shit in there? Because I really wanted to see what she had in there. She said she spotted all kinds of old computers, going back to like Radio Shack, Tandy and stuff, Commodore, whatever, Atari. And then she said she did spot some Atari game systems and other old game systems that you didn't even recognize. But man, this place was so piled up, you literally have to be climbing on stuff and breaking stuff to get to these things. They were just in spots where she couldn't get at it. So she said, we basically want to just empty this place out, so just keep stopping by when you're in town or on the weekend when we're having our yard sales, and I will sell you the stuff dirt cheap. So, cool. But anyways, what you could get at, and these were donated to the church from, I guess, a high school in Phoenix somewhere. Had a whole pallet full of EMAC computers, which was, I think they were the last one past the original iMacs, to where it was basically just a monitor all in one before they went to the flat screens. Heavy as friggin' hell, and now that I had to take some apart, I know why, because the computer itself, once you get inside of it, totally encased in steel shielding all over, so really heavy. Murphy's Law, I got them for cheap. And I should have just kept thinking, okay, I got them from cheap, so I'm going to be really, 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 really fucking lucky if they work. Which they didn't. But before I found out the actual problem, I was online downloading all kinds of stuff, man. Operating systems from the size I can go from 9.2 to burn to a CD to see, okay, maybe they just deleted the operating system and it needs to be reinstalled, which the problem was reinstall onto what? One of them, and they still turned on to give you the idea that they were doable because it's got like firmware in it, so you still get that icon that flashes the question mark at you. That's basically the system searching for the hard drive. So that's why I was downloading all this stuff, figuring that they just deleted stuff. Anyways, one of them, they literally ripped the hard drive out of it. I guess they couldn't get the plug loose because I had to use pliers. So instead of finding pliers and easing the plug out of the thing, they just ripped it right out of the freaking motherboard. But it wasn't enough to keep the computer from turning on. The other one, they just outright disconnected it and then put it together horribly. A lot of stuff that wasn't plugged in right. But once again, the damn thing was still turning on, acting like I could do something with it. So anyways, I gave up on both of them. They both still had the batteries in them, so I took the batteries out because I can use those on my iMacs. And the memory, different in all them damn things. Even the old iMacs. Just found out because I was wanting to upgrade the memory. I took apart my little green iMac. That's one of the original 98, 99 models that first came out. Totally different from my year 2000 iMacs. I've never even seen memory sticks like this other than like maybe in a laptop computer. But I mean, those things are only like this long. So, totally different. But at least he gave me some spare batteries. So, if anything, other than the fact that I gutted some of the stuff to get to the damn memory and everything, if you just find one and want to do this, really easy to take out of the shell. Just be careful because they can hold electricity, which can damage you to death or just make you really fucking special. So be very careful when handling one of them because you are dealing with an old monitor. So, if anything, my fucking cat's happy as all hell now. And what's crazy, man, she said, this is the idea she gave me. She said a lot of people just gut these things and turn them into pet beds. So that's what I did with both of them. And had to glue everything back together because once you take it apart, all these screw holes here were for going into that metal shielding to hold in the monitor and stuff. So had to glue on the bezel here. And then the back piece, which I think this is just cool as hell looking, the way they did this. Only had an opening to the bottom of it for the fan, and then there was a piece of white plastic behind this covering up the rest of the vent. So I busted that off and then glued this back on. So now I can see through all around it, just to let more light in. And then all the other holes are just stuff that was either on the circuit board or screwed into the metal paneling. So, pretty damn easy to make. And I sure as hell wouldn't do this because it's just god awful high, but can't even remember the name of this site. There's a site that makes pet beds out of just old retro stuff, man. They'll get like old suitcases, the hard shell types, and separate the shells and turn them into pet beds by putting them like on a stand or whatever. They'll do it with the Emacs and iMac computers to where they gut them. But this is all they do. Is take it apart, throw a pet bed in it, and then put a high price of $125 or more, which is just crazy. I mean, other than the $5 for the broken computers, this pet bed only cost me like $15, man. So, if you live in an area with a lot of nerds, there's a way for you guys to make some profit. This since I got 2 of them, and I may pick up a few more from this gal and do the same thing, man, I might see if I can sell some and make some money. So, now that I've made another long vid, next one guaranteed to be shorter, because this is going to take a while to upload. The last one did, so say bye to you guys, and I will try and get that saw cleaned up so I can show you guys that either indoors or outdoors. Catch y'all later.